What's going on, guys? Logan JYA Drykage back at it again with Perfection DRYTRON, everybody's favorite build. Okay, maybe it's just me, but I gotta tell you, I love summoning Perfection with 5 negates in hand, and you're gonna love it too after you see this list for 2025. Stick around the end so you can get to see the combo tutorial as well. Without further ado, let's check it out. It is that time of the year once again for Perfection DRYTRON, the deck that's putting up more negates than any other deck in history. Omni negates to be specific, courtesy of our friend Herald of Perfection and some of our other key players, things like Eva, that have done their time on the ban list. I don't want to keep you waiting, let's dive on into the list, but stick around to the tail end so you can see a combo. Starting things off with the mainline DRYTRON monsters, we're going to keep this part quick. We got triple copies of Alpha, triple copies of Zeta, 2 copies of Gamma, 2 copies of Delta. We bumped these names down in the Perfection Focus build. We're also only playing 1 copy of the new 2, but I did still decide to tech in the new 2 package, even though it conflicts with our mainline Perfection plays. We do still have access to 1-card combos, courtesy of playing the new 2 and DRYTRON Nova. So know that Nova is still 1-card combo, IP plus Dad, if you don't have any other plays to make. Moving on into our ritual monsters, of course the main star of the show, Mr. Herald of Perfection. We are always focusing our combos on getting this guy out with as many fairies in hand as possible, and going this route of this build gives us the ability to play some really cool things. Now, do I think this is the best DRYTRON build to play in 2025 right here, right now? I don't know. I'm gonna be honestly leaning even more towards the no side because the new 2 build just has an easier time playing through hand traps, and there are so many hand traps in this format. But this deck also has a very unique upside that we're going to talk about a little bit later on that may actually help edge it out in certain scenarios and do things that the new 2 build can't do. But we'll talk about that more as we close out the main deck. Of course, Perfection is the main star of the show, and the other rituals that we play to support: triple copies of the Cyber Angel Ben 10, 1 Natasha back in the main board. That's another reason why I really want to play this build, is so we can abuse Natasha again for the Natasha steals, not just for time, for taking the opponent's monsters and clearing out their board. And then the last ritual monster that we play is 1 copy of Big Daddy Draconids, our DRYTRON of choice. Again, this is the other piece of the puzzle that gives us access to the DRYTRON new 2 1-card combos off of Nova, and it is another hard DRYTRON name that we can search to use as ritual fodder if we need to. Moving on into our supporting cast, one of the coolest cards that we get to play in the Perfection build is the Herald of the Orange Light. This was on the ban list for a reason, and that reason was tier element, not us, but still an insanely powerful hand trap. You know, Cyframe Gear Gamma's at 1 for a reason. This card has the same level of power that it has. Is it costly? You bet it is, but we get to search these guys for pretty much free off of our Ben 10s through our mainline combos. There's another friend who helps search them as well. We got 2 copies of Diviner. It's mandatory to play 2 because who we playing in this list? That's right, everybody's favorite, the Eva, is in this list. Playing it only at 1, we need not play any more than 1 because it does get bricky. You don't really want to see this card in your hand. You want to search it for when you're locking and loaded as a negate. We're playing the common copy so we don't see it as often. And then the last one we got is Mr. Choju. This is the best normal summon for your mainline combo because it is the Preparation of Rites in monster card form. That's it for the monsters. Moving on to the spells, we got triple copies of Nova, summon out any DRYTRON from deck, 1 copy of Fafnir the field spell, and 1 of your Medionis ritual. The other ritual we play is 1 copy of the Dawn of the Herald. This is your main search target off the Choju and what you want to use to summon your Perfection. But let's say they hit you with a bad news Nibiru at a time where you can't negate, or you're just unable to resolve the Dawn for whatever reason. If you need to, you can still summon Perfection from grave off of Medionis. Unless, of course, you're under the effect of new 2, but if you're doing that combo line, you're not going for Perfection plays at all. Next, we got triple copies of Cyber Emergency for consistency. I'm going to close things out with some out-of-order non-engine. We've got the 1 Call by the Grave, Sack by the Grave. I want to mention briefly that this deck is a clean-cut 40 cards. If we wanted to beef it up just a little bit, we could play a lot more options. Things like Foolish Burial, things like Talent in the main. But right now, I just can't do it because I was keeping the deck at 40. But if you beef up that number just a teensy tiny bit, you're going to have the ability to play some more flex cards. But especially with Droll existing, I did not want to cut the one sacked by the grave. And then our last pieces of non-engine, triple copies of Droplets, the most powerful non-engine card that DRYTRON can play and does it better than any other deck. And then triple copies of the Fuos. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this card last, and the reason why it kind of inspired me and put me on the track of wanting to play this deck again, not only because we've been playing Perfection, DRYTRON, and Master Duel on the live stream, but because Charmy, very similar to what Max C can do in Master Duel, can draw you into live orange lights. As silly as that sounds, that's one of the coolest things that this card enables you to do, and you do it unlike any other deck in the format. But even if it's not ripping you an orange, it can also still rip you a Droplets. The power level of these hand traps is just so insane. It's ridiculous to me that they even printed something like this. So I wanted to make sure that our current Perfection build reflected it. Let's get on to the extra deck. 2 copies of Moy Beta, very beta. Yep, you play 2 of them, not a surprise there. 1 copy of Fuko, you know what we like to call her. This is actually a pretty common end board piece. You'll see in the combo that we close things out with. I didn't want to play the Silhouette Rabbit in this build. Spoiler alert, yeah, obviously you didn't see the trap in the main deck. We were doing that in previous builds because it does up the ceiling of the end board. But, you know, the one thing that really gets me about doing that is that you have to play another brick. So instead, we've changed the end board a little bit, and Fuko's a key part of it. It's also a key part of one of our favorite side deck packages. 1 copy of Downer Magician to make big Zeuses, but now in addition to the Zeus, we are also slotting the Typhon in the extra as well. Made a little bit of room for this guy because it's just that good to win those unwinnable situations. 1 copy of the Relinquished Anima, the Link one of choice because we have no choice. IP Masquerena, a key end board piece, again when you're doing your 1-card combos, but also on your regular mainline Perfection board. 1 copy of the Mighty Dynamundo, another form of interruption and removal that can also summon back your rituals from the graveyard. SP Masquerena for phenomenal removal. Nightmare Phoenix for blowing out those back rows, those Blue Eyes trap cards, and a heck of a lot more. 1 Underworld Goddess for dealing with tricky boss monsters. And finally, he's back in here, at least for the Link monsters. The last one we've got is the man, the myth, the legend, Borrelsword. I wanted to give him space in this build because we brought Natasha back in. I said, you know what? Okay, we're going to give Borrelsword a little bit of a time to shine as well. And this is just mirroring the decision that I made on Master Duel the other night during our stream where I was like, you know what? In the Perfection build here, I want to have Borrelsword. I want to do the same thing in the TCG build. Because this build does it better than the new 2 build. In the new 2 build, you don't really need it. In this one, you sometimes need a little bit of extra damage, and the Borrelsword just has an easier time putting it up than Access Code. And we got the Entis for popping things. This is the card that I'd say is the most useless in the extra deck, and I really want to cut, but it always hurts me to cut it. Ugh, I don't know. What would I cut it for right now? I don't know. We're not too tight on space. You could play a Black Rose, you could play another 7, the Dawn Dragster if you wanted to, but right now, the Entis is still chilling in here. We've got the Herald of the Arclight to close things out. And shout out to my friend David for giving me this one. Alright, last but not least, we've got the side deck. Triple copies of Lava Golem sacking over the opponent's monsters. It's another powerful blowout that the Fua can draw you into. Triple copies of Droll and Lockbird because we only have so much coverage for those meta decks, and it does directly conflict with our Fuos. Doesn't matter, still gonna side it because it's such a powerful blowout. Triple copies of Lancia, uniquely searchable in our build, but Malice is still a thing. In fact, we hate them so much, I even threw in a Chaos Hunter for good measures. Really inspired by my buddy Kenny, who had an even bigger side deck prepared for the Malice cards. Well, I'm not dedicating as much space to them because I only have so much room, but I am still putting in a bonus Chaos Hunter to deal with them. I mentioned this package earlier, but it is my favorite package in the side deck. 2 copies of the Thrust and the Harpy's Feather Storm, pairing nicely with the Fuko. Before the Ryziel decks were doing it, DRYTRON was setting Feather Storm out of the deck like an absolute degenerate and ending on a winged beast like it's our jobs. Now the Ryziels are going to get this banned and ruin all of our fun. But hey, can you blame them? This card's busted. Maybe it deserves to get banned. Last things is the Talent. Oh my god, I love this card. I want to main deck it. This is card 41. Frankly, if I was going to make more room in the main, it'd be for this card. And then finally, the Feather Duster. That's going to bring the list to a close, but don't go anywhere. Let's check out a combo. All right, my friends, to close things out like we always love to do, we're finishing things off with a combo tutorial. But before I do it, I've got 2 shameless plugs that I want to drop. The first one being to check out my eBay store. Link in the description down below. I'm trying to get rid of a lot of old cards and other cool collectibles, so if you want to support the stream and get something in return for it, consider checking out the eBay shop. And then the other thing that I wanted to mention is that we got a really cool combo in the works. I actually have to give a shout out to a viewer who put me onto it. If you want to see an Archlord Christia DRYTRON combo in the Perfection build, a very unique one, that doesn't conflict with the DRYTRON summoning mechanics, be sure to let me know in the comment section. We'll make it happen in the next DRYTRON video. But without further ado, let's do our classic Alpha Zeta combo in the Perfection build to show you what we are ending on in 2025. Alpha effect searching out the Ben 10 pitching off for Zeta, grabbing Meteonis, and then Ben 10 searches off Choju. Overlay the 2 for Moy Beta. There he is. And uses effect Ascend, putting Gamma in the grave. Then we can Meteonis, detach, summon back Ben 10, and never use Mewtwo's effect. Go for Meteonis effect in the grave, reduce and add back, and then tribute summon for the Choju. Chain block your Choju, so you go 1 and 2, and then you get to search off a Ben 10, a Perfection, and a Ritual Spell. Your next safest bet to play around Nibiru is to go for the Dawn of the Herald, pitching off the Ben 10 in hand to summon out the Perfection, and then go Ben 10 effect Chainlink 1, Dawn Chainlink 2, banish to add back and get a free search. Here we are going to add an Orange Light, and then we can use Meteonis one more time, detaching off the Moy Beta we already have on field to summon Ben 10 out from grave again. Next, we'll go for Gamma's effect in the grave, sacking off the Ben 10 from field, summoning himself and Alpha back, and triggering Ben 10's search for a final time in this turn, giving us the Eva, which is how we maximize the number of negates that we have in hand, while also guaranteeing follow-up for the next turn with the Ben 10. But now it's just the finishing touches of the board, so we take our 2 DRYTRON names and overlay them into Fuko, and then we can link our Choju and our Moy Beta off for one more line of interruption, being the IEP Masquerena on the top. So this way, we've got an invulnerable, indestructible, not going to be leaving the board no matter what unless they kaiju it Fuko, combined with the Herald of Perfection with 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 negates, because this is going to grab 2 more cards. That's right, 5 Omni negates, as well as the IEP Masquerena tag out into a Little Knight or a Dynamondo, whichever card that the situation commands. And let's say worst case scenario, they got the droplets, they got the Dark Ruler, they got too much for you to handle. Well, guess what? Your backup plan is locked and loaded, because when you use this Herald's effect, you also get to trigger off the Eva that way, which is going to search you yet another Orange Light. So you've got 2 monster effect negate and destroys in hand to deal with potential problems like a Forbidden Droplet turning off your Perfection negates. It goes without saying that I love DRYTRON, and there's no build that's more fun to play than the Perfection build, especially if you don't want your opponent to even have a chance of playing the game. But that's going to close out this one, guys. Logan JYA signing off. Have a great day, and we'll see you beautiful people later. Peace.